Now then, lads, welcome to my channel. I've keenly noted problems in how you play Enlisted. That is to say, not all of you play very well. Therefore, I have taken it upon myself to educate you how to play this very good. And also, in this first part of this cutting-edge YouTube tutorial series, I shall teach you how to fight like a marshal. And of course, not like a private. You will learn to use every class as efficiently and expertly as possible, starting with, of course, the humble rifleman. So, gentlemen, let us go. However, first, we must ask ourselves the main question. What is rifleman? A soup? A stew? A French dessert? No. It is a man with a rifle, or potentially a pistol, or some other weapon system. The point being, this will be you, at least when you start out, that is. Now, a rifleman has one basic job, shown off in this simple diagram. Spawn, walk at the enemy, shoot at enemy, and do the damn objective. Then repeat until victory. That's it, really, the rifleman loop. A simple gameplay loop, really. So how can it be messed up? Let me put it this way. If you cannot understand this loop, you probably should go find a different game to play. Roblox, maybe. Anyway, now you know the theory on how to play the first and most basic class in the game, I shall now teach you how to set up your inventory for the rifleman, and what works, what doesn't work, and what you should be fighting with. Now this screen is your inventory. As you can see, it's got loads of little different boxes that you can click on that open submenus, but we will start with one at a time. First is the primary weapon slot, the most important slot you'll be using, since it is needed to equip the rifle that you will then need to execute for the first two sections of the rifleman loop. Two types of weapons can be equipped here: the manual bolt-action rifles and semi-automatic rifles. Bolts are the ones you unlock first, and they are the most powerful ballistic weapon outside of anti-tank rifles. They're also very good at long-range shooting and one shot at pretty much any distance, unless that distance is pixel-sized. They, however, have low amounts of backup ammo, with 20 being the average amount, and most only have 5-round magazines, aside from one or two outliers. They also have to be manually rechambered, meaning you have to wait just under a second to fire your next shot, and can potentially be caught with your pants down if you have to cycle your next shot while someone, say an assaulter with a submachine gun, is shooting at you. So you don't really get that more, pew pew pew, and more of a pew, reload, pew kind of noise. So bolt-action rifles are a good medium to long range, but worse at shorter ranges, where automatics are king and will shred you if you don't have either backup, and let's face it, your squad will probably be dead by the time you're at the point. So there is a second option: semi-automatics. Now these can be grouped into, well, two groups: the this is a bolt that isn't manual rifles, and the how the hell is this a rifleman weapon rifles. The first group are good medium to short range weapons, such as the Gewehr 43 or the M1 Garand. With their higher fire rate and magazine reload, they can help you better kill things quicker in a pinch. However, this does come at a cost. They do only have around half the damage of a bolt action, so they can only one-shot reliably in close range, or if you can land headshots. However, the second group has a solution. These weapons, like the FG-42 or AVS-36, have an automatic mode that negates the damage reduction by making up for it with the fire rate. That makes them act more as a middle weapon between SMGs and LMGs, but more accessible. And the only cost is high recoil and the hours of your life lost grinding for them. So picking between semis and bolts is kind of up to the campaign that you're playing, but in my opinion, if you play Moscow, the Pacific, or Tunisia, stick with bolts, as the large open spaces between objectives on most maps means you get plenty of space and time to use bolts. However, if you play Berlin, Stalingrad, or Normandy, stick with semis, so that you can kind of keep up with the automatic metas and fight better in their more cramped maps. However, there is one more type of weapon only riflemen can equip, and one we will go over later. Secondly, we have the sidearm slot. Some may call it the worst slot in the game, that some being me. Sidearms do little damage, they have barely any range, and cost more silver orders than they are worth, so don't buy them. Unless it is to finish off your full inventory, but only use it in that case. Don't use it to shoot people, it won't work, they'll just kill you. And then you'll be probably annoyed that the sidearm didn't work, but hey, I told you so. Next is the melee slot. You will probably use this a bit more than the sidearm slot, but that's only if you don't have, for whatever reason, a bayonet equipped. Unless you want to change your knife out for a shovel for some reason, or you want an axe, or you have one of those really cool officer swords, and even if you never have a sword, why would you put it on your rifleman anyway? The point being, you won't need to worry about this slot a huge amount, there's not much you can change to it anyway. Now for an actually useful slot, grenades. There are 6 types of grenades in the game, and they can be put in a Venn diagram like this, split into offensive and support respectively. Smoke grenades are fully support and deal no damage. They are good at hiding you in a building, but that's about it. Not completely bad, but there is a better choice. White phosphorus! It's a smoke and incendiary in one tight, round package. It fills both the support and defense slot, and is better at offensive pushing, so it has more benefits for riflemen, since not only can you conceal yourself, but you can kill the enemy as well. And yourself, if you're not careful. So, yeah, don't run through it. That's a bad idea. Mills grenades, or frags as commoners call them, are the best way to kill a group of soldiers without even putting yourself in too much danger. They are the best choice for an all-round grenade if you can't pick one because you are too indecisive. However, if you can access impact grenades and you think you have the greatest pitching aim of all time, go for impacts, as now you can wipe the enemy out instantly without any warning as the player you just killed cries and goes off to his mother. But that won't matter to you, since you must be a Normandy player if you use impacts. You godless bastard. Molotovs are also a good area denial tool and anti-tank weapon, so they also have a support and defensive position, allowing you to keep people away from you on a point, or you can blind tanks. But you can still kill your allies with them, so just be careful where you throw them. Or don't. Not like your teammates can shoot you for it. But I'll silently judge you for it. And you know I will. So don't try it. Finally are the fallen kings of grenades, the explosion pack, once the meta, now a mere situational frag with less damage to people, but still effective against vehicles. So if you like being a pseudo AT gunner, then these are a good choice. Overall though, it is up to you. Not my job to teach you grenades. This is a rifleman video, damn it, pick whichever one you want. Or probably more realistically, whichever one you have spare. Now, the mine slot. It really only has one thing most people use it for. The TNT detonator. The explosion pack's sexier older sister, who is far more effective at blowing up like a piece of TNT. This is effective against most tanks, and allows you to easily wipe one out for the cost of walking to a tank's blind spot. But save them for a more specialist class. Unless you have spare ones, then totally use them because they are the better option, and you won't have to carry around the explosion pack. AT mines and AP mines are also roughly the same weapon, both situational, but with different targets. Now, as a rifleman, you should probably deal with more people and tanks, so you are definitely better off taking AP mines instead. So, you know, you can lay them in doorways or those tunnels on that one Tunisia map with the cave houses. Actually, no, don't lay them in the cave houses. That's a bad idea. That's bad. Don't. Then there are these slots that you can only pick one of, that being the backpack slot and the secondary weapon slot. Now, the secondary weapon slot, I think you will get less out of. It allows you to equip a secondary primary weapon, such as a rifle. Now, you could equip a different type of rifle or a grenade rifle, but I personally think you will get less out of this, since if you have two of the same weapon equipped, they'll actually eat from the same reserves. So I think the backpack slot is more useful. There are 3 types of backpacks that will either give you extra ammo, an extra grenade slot, or an extra inventory item. For Rifleman, ammo or extra inventory are the best, as extra ammo for a bolt rifle can allow you to negate the lack of reserve ammunition for it, and the extra inventory slot always lets you take an extra med kit, especially if you get downed a lot though. But it is up to you though. The flask and binoculars are another option up to you. The flask's infinite stamina boost does allow you to get to the objective faster, and there is no downside apart from the no reusability of it until you respawn in. So it may be a good option if you play an attacking army the most, but binoculars are less useful. Unless you like to pretend to be an officer, then yeah, they're absolutely perfect. Finally is your inventory. As a rifleman, you should only pick the medkit, always. Don't pick tools as a rifleman, that's stupid. I mean, who ever heard of a rifleman who fixes vehicles? Because I haven't. Because that is stupid. And thus concludes the overview of the inventory. Next are perks, everyone's favourite thing. The best ones for riflemen are any kind of generic good ones, like vitality, run speed, stamina, aim breath time, reload speed. But 1 or 2 are made specifically for riflemen, such as bolt action firing rate, which is actually pretty good and kind of needed if you play a more CQC campaign but still use bolts for whatever reason. Aim stability also helps if you are going for long-range kills as well, but other than that, I'd say pick ones that seem best to how you play and what you prefer. Personally, I generally put my perk points into movement and weapon handling, since that just matters to me more. But it's all up to you, really. Perks are one of the most subjective things in this game, so yeah, don't let me influence your opinion on it too much. But there is one weapon I promised I would mention later. It is now later, so let's talk about the best reason to use Rifleman, the rifle grenades. Now, do you suck at grenades? Do you miss every throw by 1.5 miles? If so, you may be interested in the rifle grenade, the best and only substitute for a throwing arm. All factions unlock them at Rifleman level 2, and they are some of the weapons of all time. Okay, so I may have hyped them up a little, but that doesn't mean they aren't completely useless. See here, as I wipe out a trench of Germans with fascist big gun, the only comrades option for killing the Wehrmacht. However, that does show the main problem of them, their situationalness. They require some specific situations to actually live up to their full potential, such as crowded enemies that have an obvious line of sight that is uninterrupted, since a small stick can set a rifle grenade off, which is annoying. I mean, the hitboxes of these things must be massive for them to detonate there, right? But this does not impede their usefulness all the time. In an attacking team, they serve a similar function to HE in tanks, where they can be used to kill swaths of enemies all bunched together, turning them into a fine red soup. But this does limit them to being best for attacking. Not to say the dopamine-fueled moments don't happen, they do, but they require a large amount of specific situation checks and luck to happen. Or if your ping sucks like me, then their hits never register anyway, so hey, it doesn't matter either way. Now, aiming them does take a bit of practice, since they have a pretty small arc, so it is often best to overcompensate with them, hoping that you hit. And if the snail god says yes, then consider yourself lucky. They also don't have a very big splash radius, so unless you at least hit the feet of your target, you are unlikely to actually kill them. You'll just knock some health off. Now, they aren't all doom and gloom. They have some pretty good advantages when you use them correctly. They can kill tankers in open-top vehicles like the M18, the M8 Scott, or the devil himself, the Demon King, the maker of misery, the M16 GMC. so you can bully them into submission using these. However, that is only the frag grenade variant. In Normandy and Stalingrad, there is an anti-tank variant, which is underwhelming and not really that useful. I actually couldn't get much good footage with them anyway. So, in some cases, it means going back to the beginning rifle with the Axis for Normandy, which just isn't worth it for most people, since it is very situational and there are better tools you can equip to kill tanks with, like the sexy TNT detonator, or the less sexy dynamite pack. So, just stick to the regular frag variant. If you do plan on using these, I recommend you equip all riflemen with the grenade launch variants, as they are much better, and it means you can give more important weapons to other classes such as your engineers or AT gunners. It also means that you don't have to carry around frag grenades, and you can carry a more support-based grenade in your grenade slot too. So, in the end, I hope you all learn something, and you all will start playing far more competently from now on. I hope. In all fairness, I've done all I can. You need to apply it. So remember the Rifleman loop and other educational things I taught you, because you never know. Last thing you'll want is to be in a match with me and for me to spring a surprise test on you. Can't imagine that would be fun. Anyway, I have been Brucey Boy, your faithful teacher, and you have hopefully taken on board what I was rambling on about for the last few minutes. Anyway, remember to hit the big red subscribe button and then the little bell so you always know when I can impart some of my ramblings onto you. So cheers for watching and good night.